How do you fight back against that? At what point do you just stop playing in that game?
Well, people have asked me that too. Why don't you just give up your license? And I would say, well, because I wouldn't be giving it up. I would be allowing it to be taken away from me. Like if I decide in a year that I don't want to be a licensed clinical psychologist because the whole damn profession has become corrupt, that's a whole different issue than letting this pack of craven commissar cowards organized behind the scenes utilize the complaints of random people online to justify their own envy and desire to prosecute and then fold in the face of that opposition. It's like, I'm not going to do that. And now you say, well, what do you do? And I think the only answer to that is, I think the only thing you have in a complex situation is the truth. That's all you have. That's why you have to abide by the truth, because when things get complex around you, how do I deal with this politically? How do I deal with this personally? What do I say in this terribly complex situation? All you have there that's solid ground is the truth. And one of the things to reflect upon in relationship to that is, that's also why you have to live honestly, because it's very hard to tell the truth if you're simultaneously worried that the evidence of your past misbehavior, your past deceitful misbehavior is going to come to light. And so the reason you abide by the truth is so that you can say what you have to say about what you've done and who you are, and you can do that under impossibly difficult circumstances, and possibly that will sustain you through that. In circumstances where if that's not possible, you're just going to get crushed. And people might say, well, being investigated by your professional body isn't exactly a life-threatening event, and you're just whining. It's like, look, for all you people who think that this is such a walk in the park, I'll tell you two things. Number one, I've known about 200 people who face this sort of thing now, and every single one of them, with the exception of those people who like a fight, right, a tiny, tiny minority of people, maybe one or two in that entire 200, they reacted as if they or someone they loved had contracted a life-threatening illness. I've known people, very stable people, extremely elegant, polished, educated, well-positioned, well-supported people who literally ended up in psych wards because of the pressure that was brought to bear on them by the accusatory mob. And so those of you who think this is a cakewalk, you just bloody well wait till your neighbors show up on your doorstep with pitchforks and torches, and you just see what that's like for yourself. So you better watch yourself very carefully if you think that the people who are complaining about being mobbed are just complaining because they can't take it. And so, one of the problems with online culture and the culture of anonymity, people have been pointing to this and saying, well, now are you sorry that you've gone after anonymous trolls? Because look at what happens if you're not anonymous. Is I think, no, I still think you people are cowardly, and most of you are narcissists, and you don't have the courage of your convictions. And the problem of anonymity is that the anonymous denouncers get the upper hand, and the research is clear on this. I just talked to Del Paulus this week, the developer of the idea of the dark triad and the dark tetrad, and there's a huge body of research that's emerging showing that online trolls, especially the anonymous types, are much more likely to be, this is fun, narcissistic. So that means they want social status. They believe they deserve social status and that they should get it without earning it. Machiavellian, which means they'll manipulate other people instrumentally to get what they want, independent of the consequences for that person.
Wow.
Psychopathic, which means they're predatory and parasitical. Parasitical meaning they're perfectly willing to use your work as means for their sustenance. And this is the new part of the dark tetrad, which has expanded it beyond the triad, sadistic.
Lovely.
Which means taking a positive delight in the evident suffering of others. Not only failure to experience that suffering, so that callousness that might be part and parcel of, being disagreeable and tough, but actually experiencing a positive delight in the suffering of others. Some of the complaints that are levied against me by the Ontario College of Psychologists were just submitted to the college as tweets. So they just, used the college tagline at CP Ontario to point the college to one of my tweets, and that was the complaint. And so these people who are willing to use their anonymity to inform and accuse have the upper hand in a virtualized society. And that's another reason why I've had some moral doubts about whether I should just make all of this public, like every bit of the documentation, everything the college sent me, which would include the identifiers of the complainants. And I'm still not sure that in the most fundamental manner, that's not the appropriate thing to do. But because I'm not sure, and because at least technically my understanding at the moment is that I wouldn't be abiding by the dictates of the college, I'm still more than willing to play by the rules.